bring in this gentleman here, and then, sir, you need a microphone, but yeah, go ahead.
My name is Ben Harris-Quinn.
Can you move that microphone closer?
The Conservative think tank, the Bow Group. I'm very glad, sir, that you said you wanted more answers than just throw more money at it, because this debate very rarely gets beyond that, because Labour just say, oh, well, the answer is throw more money at it. I'm not saying the NHS doesn't need funding, but it's quite extraordinary, isn't it, that Jeremy Hunt is one of the longest-serving health secretaries. He's been in post for just 4 years. And really the problem with the NHS, or indeed a big problem with the NHS, is the fact that this country, for at least the last 20 years, has been governed on the basis of winning an election, not on the basis of long-term planning. Now, to the point about the percentage of GDP spending, Japan actually spends 1% less than we do on its healthcare and has better healthcare outcomes. And that's because they have a different approach. So, whilst I'm not here to say we need to cut funding to the NHS, absolutely not. That can only ever be part of the solution.
Okay, well, let's hear what a Labour representative does have to say. John Ashworth, is it? I mean, again, I don't know what Jeremy Corbyn's going to promise in his manifesto before 2020, if he's still the leader. Is it going to be more money? Is it going to be, yeah, we're going to put your taxes up 2p in the pound? What?
Well, I mean, certainly the NHS needs more money. I mean, it is going through the largest financial squeeze in its history, and head for head next year, NHS investment will actually be cut in England. So you're right to say it's not just about money, but we cannot ignore the reality that this huge financial squeeze is putting this incredible burden and pressure on the system at every level now. So we can't just dismiss that out of hand.
Okay, well, 2 questions in response to that. Firstly, how do you account for the fact that Japan has better healthcare outcomes by spending less money? And secondly, are you willing to acknowledge, as many of your colleagues at least have, that this country is out of money? We're told we have an austerity budget in place. No, I'm afraid it is. We're told we have an austerity budget in place. This government is borrowing 70 billion more than it's taking into the exchequer. We are 1.5 trillion in debt. When there is another recession, we will be in big trouble. The kind of trouble that Greece has been in.
Gentleman behind you, and then back to John Ashworth, yes.
Hello, yeah, I'm John Donovan. I work in a coastal NHS. I'm afraid that's absolute rubbish. We are the 6th richest country in the world. No, I'm sorry, let me finish my point. I'm afraid the government gave, and it's all faults, it's Tories, Liberals and the Labour, gave, when the bankers bailout, 109, listen to this folks, not million, not billion, but trillion pounds. That could have funded the social care for 100 years. It could have also done the NHS for 50 years.
Okay,
so there is money. It's all about ideology and the fact that the Tory government do not want to do it. And we should stand up against it.
Thank you.
We didn't spend 109 trillion bailing out the banks. We absolutely did not. No, we didn't spend 109 trillion. No. I'm sorry, sir. We didn't spend 109 trillion.
John Ashworth, Labour MP. Over here. Sorry.
Jeremy's absolutely right. If the Conservatives privatise the NHS, they'll be out of office. People will vote them out. I mean, Jeremy's there saying, as a Conservative MP, I won't even vote Conservative if they privatise the NHS, and nor will I. And the Conservatives will be out if they privatise the NHS, because we live in a democracy.
Okay.
And no one wants that.
So,
I'm sorry,